third Thursday night of every month. And Sunday morning meet is for everybody, men, women, and children, everybody. And it's growing. It's growing. So, and for those who have stuck in there, they're doing amazing things. Those who want quick fix, they're not, right? Everything is a growing thing. You grow into love. You grow into life. You grow into wealth. You grow into everything, right? So check us out on rebuildingtheman.com, rebuildingtheman.com, all right? Or call 800-411-BOND. Other than sex, I wonder, why would a man even need a woman today? Women don't know how to cook. They don't know how to clean. They're in competition with men. They don't want to be wives and mothers. Some want to get married, but they don't want to live in that proper position of life, because the only purpose of marriage is to have a family, and that's been known forever. And so if you don't want to have children, there is no need to get married. And so I was wondering, why would a man even get married today? I never thought I'd see the day when women would come out of her natural role and be like a man. Even though she hate that role, when she's with a man that's weak, she hate him. But if he try to be strong, she'll stop it. I never imagined that. You're seeing good destroyed and abnormal is presented as normal. Isn't Nick a Mexican?
Colombia.
He calls himself American.
What is this?
𝒔𝒐𝒄𝒊𝒂𝒍𝒔.
And in this corner, it's the American Anchor Baby.
Daddy's home.
That's an offensive term. People find that hurtful.
You mean it's not politically correct? Excuse me. I'll use the word anchor baby. You know, he's an anchor baby in Canada.
Tell him we still rolling with Trump, too.
Anchor baby, the whole thing sounds horrific. You're just making it sound like immigrants are these horrific, greedy people.
Ustedes pueden aceptar mi negocio o aceptar las consecuencias. Plata o plomo.
So you would be considered white, in my opinion.
You the blackest one in this room.
I think so.
And what happened was his mama got pregnant on the other side of the border, and then a few hours before, just before it was time for him to pop out, she jumped across the border and let him fall on American soil. So he became the anchor baby. They don't call him the anchor baby for nothing. Amazing.
We like this anchor baby, right?
Hello, I'm the American Anchor Baby. This is my show. Thank you for tuning in. About to get going here. I see everybody rolling in from Joel's show, and I do appreciate it. How y'all doing? Fellowshipping so hard, it's building the psychic link. We are now connected. You are hearing my voice. You're hearing my voice. You're getting connected. You're getting connected to the soul stream. Your mind is connected to God's mind. Appreciate that, Carver. Everything is fake. How you doing, Chris? Terry, Mr. Mad. Peter, Rome, Nugget Man. Birdie Bound, Brian, on this fine Wednesday. How you doing? I got some things on my mind, as you know. We're going to do a little Hake Report recap. Just a little tiny bit, okay? Just a little bit. I know you watched some Hake Report, but there was an interesting caller. They were talking about near-death experiences. So we might get into something interesting here. You might enjoy this. And there's a lot going on. Look, that border. So plenty to get into today. Thank you for tuning in. 888-775-3773 if you want to jump on the line and talk to the host, your American Anchor Baby. Hey, what's up, everybody? What's up, Riley? Zorak, 90, not 89, not 91. The 90th Zorak. So I'm just with you. By the way, folks, I'm just with you a shorter time today. We're getting the Anchor Baby camera ready. We're getting him Hollywood ready, tax deductible, work on his teeth. Fantastic stuff. So I appreciate that. But just letting you know, Right on. Okay, so Hake was talking to a caller, an interesting caller. They were talking about near-death experiences. He was, I don't want to use a nasty word here. He was an indulger a little bit. I know, I'm sorry. We're not trying to judge. I'm just messing around, but he was talking about pot. He was talking about pot. It's like there's worse things to be into, and I didn't quite think this through. I'm really not trying to make too much of a commentary on him. There's a lot of the call I missed. But I'm wondering about something I was saying the other day about indulging. And can we get any wisdom from the older indulgers? Can we? Because you might even be right. You're working, you're doing your thing. You do a little, you smoke a little pot. Okay, I'm not even talking about the caller. Okay, it's nothing personal. You just smoke a little pot. Can we at least just not call that not that bad? We don't have to go all crazy and demonize it and be like, oh, I'm such a horrible person, or I'm an addict, or whatever. You don't have to be doing all that. But can we not play? I'm really just talking to myself here. I mean, I do that every day on this show. Come on. Hello. 888-775-3773. But I'm talking to myself. I'm yelling at myself. Nick, calm down. Anyways. But yeah, a little wisdom. Can we get a little wisdom? Because I was saying, too, the other day, there's a line. There's a through line all the way from the person unable to handle a little bit of stress, all the way to the crazy person, psycho, killing people and eating them. I've heard other people say it in a more graceful manner, right? 2 hoops and a holla. It even rhymes, from Jeffrey Dahmer. It's a B rhyme, okay? It's a B rhyme. Don't think about it too hard. But anyways, indulging, what was it? They were talking about near-death experiences, and Hake brought up one particular near-death experience. I talked about it, I don't know, I forget when. But allow me to maybe even rehash some of this stuff, some interesting things. I don't want to, play it for you. Just some interesting things out of this. David Williamson, who, says he died. He says he died from a heart attack, heart condition. But he says his anger killed him, right? And it's just really interesting. And it kind of fits with, whatever. David Williamson, there's some interesting things here. And I'm almost careful too here. Because the mind is so crazy. We intellectualize things and we think we know it. But then we get stressed out or we overreact. So I'm careful with this because, you watch this David Williamson, and maybe you disagree. Maybe you don't know what I'm talking about, but maybe you watched it and you're like, I saw it, Nick. It's not that deep. That guy died. I'm saying that guy. I think that guy died. That guy died. He also saw space. I don't know what that means. I don't know the implications. Flat earthers. I don't take too much of a stance here. I'm not trying to take any stolen valor here. But I don't know the implications. I think that guy died. And he saw space. So he looked up and he saw space. But what was I saying? I think his whole story is so interesting. In that, I'm talking about a little bit about these things that we maybe minimize. Like our little indulgence. But we're what we are dealing with, what our experience is dealing with this. It's actually a dark spirits and stuff. Okay, I'm not trying to avoid too lofty language here. It would be stolen valor, as if I totally understand. But I'm trying to speak about something interesting here, and you might find this interesting. So why don't we kick it off with maybe one of these clips I got for you? And you mentioned, in this one video that you're welcome to check out, I think you can find it on YouTube. It's under the channel Coming Home. titled "Activist Dies from Heart Attack, Discovers We Are All One in a Near-Death Experience." Okay. So here he is, David Williamson. And so at this point, he's already described a little bit about his life and how he got really into activism, basically. He's all into the racism thing, and he feels the 400 years of hate of slavery and whatever. And that's his experience. He even says at one point that it's probably in the clip I'm about to play, that it's his whole that he took that whole burden on to deal with the race thing. So he sets that up a bit, and he in this clip in particular, he talks about how nothing in his life there was nothing in his life, at least even saying to him that he's wrong for this anger. There was nothing in his life, okay? Even the gods justified his anger. And out of a desire not to blow your ears off, look at me. We're going to lower the volume there. Appreciate your calls coming in, 888-775-3773. We got David Williamson.
College years was even worse, still on a deep spiritual kind of journey, trying to understand stuff. But somehow this anger, this hate is still justified. Even the gods justify it.
Oh, yeah, and at this point, he's starting to get, like, health issues, okay? He's starting to get major health issues.
Gods of rage, there are gods of anger.
There are gods of anger, he said. There's gods that exist of anger. Okay.
I spiritualize my hatred and still make room for it as if it's real. There was nothing in my life, spiritual understanding, philosophical reckoning, that made hating dysfunctional or toxic. Not even when my body started telling me that hating is killing you and you feel it. You can't eat anything and it stays, and your body stays comfortable. So I was spending sometimes just not eating, because eating anything at one point was it just created this disruption in my peace. I was like, I ain't gonna eat no more then. Eating, but I had destroyed my digestive system. I'm dealing with hypertension that I'm not treating. I would check my blood pressure sometimes and it would be 224/190. I'm just going about my day. Didn't pay attention to the signs that my body was giving me the whole time. Everything just justified this rigid position and identity as this person that had to fix this racial disparity, and it's on me. I'm the Messiah. I'm the black savior. I'm going to fix all of this for all of us.
Yeah, that's right. He says it in this clip. So, a couple fascinating things, about, what did he just say about, what was it he just said about hypertension and all that, but he said something else. Lord, hypertension. It really is physically affecting you. Isn't that amazing? So that's already an interesting thing. But what was I thinking about? I was literally just thinking about, see, the mind, crazy. What you need to know about hypertension in African Americans. So he's talking about how there was nothing telling him that he was wrong for this, even when his body was telling him that. And he pointed to the gods. The gods would say, well, look, there's a god of anger. So he spiritualized it to the point of feeling all this. And, well, I wanted to point out, obviously, that really is how kind of society is set up to justify. Nothing in life is telling you that you shouldn't be mad. You shouldn't be hating. All this other stuff is the problem. And that's how it is for, it's clear to see it right with blacks here, but it's how it is for everyone. If it's not racism, it's some other thing, right? Some other thing to blame. And it's funny, they blame the racism thing. For example, they say, have you ever heard this? They say that black people suffer from hypertension.
College years was even worse,
I didn't mean to play that. But hold on, I'm interested in the part that I missed. Hold on.
And sometimes just not eating. Because
oh yeah, not eating. He's like, he even got so comfortable not eating because eating would take him out of whatever homeostasis he had discovered, he had achieved. What I'm trying to say is he would neglect his body so much, he'd find himself finding new places where he'd be stable, unstably stable. And eating would take you out of that. It would be painful to do something good. It's like people with bad posture. It's painful to sit up. It's painful to now do the right thing. So I don't know. Forget why I'm pointing that out. Oh, careful with advice, with health stuff from people. You never know. You just never know what their normal is. So I'm just, little side note. Where was I? Hypertension. Don't they say the blacks have hypertension? I heard that, and I look it up, and Google says it's true, so you know it's true. And I appreciate the calls. 888-775-3773. A little patience, please. You know it's true if Google says it. Hypertension in the blacks. And just a cursory look, I look up, why is hypertension higher in the blacks? And one of the first hits I get is Medical News Today. Very official looking stuff. Look, okay, I'm just a person on Google, right? I'm just a person on Google. I want to get educated. And I'm on Medical News Today, prevalence of hypertension in African Americans. And they tell me the studies, they prove it. Look, this is how many, the percentages. And you get to the causes. And of course, I mean, at this point, we're not surprised, but they hit you with the medical racism already. You would think they'd maybe bury it like some of these other, one of the first hits on Google, buried it a little bit more within the they didn't go right to the medical racism. They were just saying, you know, there's socioeconomic stress factors. Even the earlier hits I got on Google that didn't come out the bat with the racism stuff. They said it was socioeconomic. So they're just their poverty and situation, which it's interesting because there's a truth to that. Here's what I mean. The Republicans, the people here saying, oh, it's racism, and they're like, it's slavery, it's racism, it's hatred of us black people. They're actually closer to the truth than Republicans. And hear me out. The people who hear them say that are like, oh, you're just it's not racism. And they know that it actually is, but they have the cannon pointed the wrong way, right? It's hatred of us black people, but it's this like self thing. And so their own hatred and anger is actually causing these issues, in my opinion. In my opinion, I think that is the main thing. Hypertension in blacks, like, think of the simplicity of the explanation here. And I think there's the beauty. I'm no doctor, right, Nick? But you haven't seen the studies. Think of the simplicity of the explanation. The hypertension is proven higher in blacks because they're mad about racism. And so when they say the main reasons here are medical racism, they're a little bit closer. You see what I'm saying by that? Than the people who were like, oh, I don't even know what they're talking about. What comes to mind is this the Republican mindset that is generally correct, but they've also largely not gone into, something I've heard. You can tell me if this is correct, and I believe it. I've heard it from Hake, from Jesse, that Republicans they've never really gone into the black community and really, I don't know, honestly dealt with them and on a real level. So where was I? They tell you it's the medical racism, and it's the anger, obviously. They just have the cannon, they have the gun pointed the wrong way. They think they got the wrong guy. They're blaming the wrong person. So where were we? Racism. They tell you about this. I find it interesting that it's the people who are most mad about stuff, and they say it's real, but whatever you think about that, it's the ones the most mad about it, dealing with it. So where was I? I wanted to get to another one here. David Williamson. So yeah, nothing tell you. Yeah, nothing tell you in life. Look at all the blaming and everybody else does. Right. Start with yourself, right? Start with yourself in your own life. And you see that parents, it's so common now to just call kids' behavior or everything but just the simple spiritual things. Anyways, ADD, all that, you get it. Okay, we got another David Williamson. Callers on hold, appreciate that. We're going to move on here a little quicker. Bada bing, bada boom, hoom. Here we go.
What?
Oh, yeah.
Having that experience.
So, yeah, sorry. Allow me. This is so way later in the video. At this point, he's already described his near-death experience in detail. And the whole thing is fascinating. I mean, I'd say go watch it. I'm not saying don't go watch it, but I'm not even playing it or showing it because I feel like it would be the wrong. It's almost like showing people something intellectually. You're almost like showing. You're almost certain to lead people the wrong way, and so please keep some space in all this because I watch this guy and I want to weep. I want to weep, and I know it's the wrong. I'm not gonna say it's this wrong thing, but I'm not gonna go around saying I'm so holy for that. I want to weep because I truly believe this guy died, but then I go back and overreact to something. So look, keep some space is all I'm trying to say. So this is way after he's described his near-death experience, how he came out and saw his body and saw how anger killed that body, and that body is now dead, and the mind and the ego is now dead. And he started wondering about what's left and who he is. Fascinating stuff. You could go check it out. And, okay, so extreme accountability. He talks about thoughts a little bit here. Check it out.
What it does to you is it gives you this extremely radical sense of accountability all the way down to the thoughts that you've had. Sometimes we think that because we didn't actually say something, that we still have a position of just like we feel righteous. I didn't call you that, but you thought it. So if you thought it, own that. You gotta own that thought. You gotta own that thought because that thought contributed to the tension that was created in that moment. So we have to learn how to understand what we're doing and what we're choosing. Don't allow tension and pain and confusion to persist for too long because it'll hurt you and it'll influence your perspective of reality in a way that's not. It'll give you a bias. So when you feel it, fix it so that the bias doesn't sit in you so long to where it's part of you and now it's hard to get it out of you.
What do we do every day? I'm focused on such dumb things. It's these feelings. They're so evil. They're imprinting on us by putting these channels like a glacier, like a glacier moving through a mountain, leaving these channels where water must flow. But so you'll always have the same reactions to life. I pay attention to the wrong things. You know what I mean? And so we stew. You know what I'm talking about. We gotta calm it down. It's the number one thing, and we can't be stuck there. So that's where I'm at, folks. There's a life beyond that. Don't think that I'm just a person, right? And so I'm dealing with that. I'm dealing with calming down. There's even more life. We gotta grow and grow and grow. So where was I? What was he saying here? Extreme accountability. It makes me think about Jesus a little bit. Lust. You know that verse about lust. And I looked it up when putting together this whole thing. And I came across somebody writing about that. Jesus forbids even unintentional lust, this writer, Jacob Gerber, on Substack, I believe. What is this? On twopathways.org, my bad. Writes, it titles his thing on that, on Matthew 5, 27 through 28. I mean, I guess we should open that up too, huh? Matthew 5, 27 to 28. Which is the lust one. Fellas, adultery. You have heard that it was said, you shall not commit adultery, but I tell you that anyone who looks at a woman lustfully has already committed adultery with her in his heart. It's one that I know, it's kind of it's an interesting, I'm sure it confuses people. People wonder about it. Even people aware of thoughts. It's like, wait a second. Well, what does it mean? Am I guilty? Am I not? Okay. And I found this title also very interesting. Jesus forbids even unintentional lust. See, you didn't even intend it. You didn't even mean it. And I could be wrong here, but I'm just like pondering about this. You can call in 888-775-3773. But taking in David Williamson's experience a little bit, I wonder about this whole intention and this lust thing. It's not about this self-flagellation, right? You're condemning yourself as this lustful sinner simply for merely having a thought. It's not that, but it's accepting that there's something in you, and this thing in you influences life and situations and moments, and it's so sneaky, and it could be you see what I'm saying here a little bit maybe, and I don't know if this guy's wrong for calling it unintentional, right? It's just that I think what David Williamson is saying is accepting that it's in you, because it contributes to all these situations, and people who may have even learned what Jesse says. Oh, thoughts. Well, you're supposed to let go of thoughts or whatever. Like, thoughts are not real. And this guy's saying, you gotta own that thought. But Jesse said, this is what I think Jesse means by having space and saying things with awareness. Okay, the words and then everything behind it. Yeah, owning it. I think he's just saying accepting that it's in you. It influences death. Interesting. Birdie Bound Brian, appreciate that. So, extreme accountability, fascinating thing, really. And its influence, it integrates in you. Okay, let's do one more. David Williamson. Thank you, David Williamson, for the stolen valor on my show. I'm messing around a little bit. And let's let him say it.
The further removed I am from feeling all of that pain for so long, damaged my body, made me so sick because of how I'm thinking. And the only way I was able to shake the connection to those stories and those narratives is through having that reset, and having those narratives kind of shook off of me. My experience occurred in such a way that it gave me some different kind of clarity. And there is an opportunity for me to move forward differently, period. Now, if I don't take that opportunity, that's a choice that I make, but the opportunity exists. You will revisit the same things that led to your death. And I do. I revisit the same frustration. I revisit the same, sometimes, moments of hopelessness. But now I just am I going to choose to stay in that emotion? Am I going to become hopelessness? Am I going to become frustration? Am I going to become hate? No, I'm going to process it, let it do what it's going to do in that moment, and then leave it alone, let it go, and move on to the next thought, the next choice.
Yeah. And see, that's another one of those moments where you might choose. What do you mean choice? I thought Jesse said you had no choice. You can't choose. Yeah, be careful with that and all that. You know that. You don't need me to tell you that. Or maybe you do. But yeah, he means the next moment. That's just so clear. He just means the next moment, which is all you have, this moment, and then the next one, and then the next one. And these stories. Who's got a story? Admit it. Who's in their story right now? Who's in their story right now? And you're telling your narrative in your head, and you got your narrative, and you're the villain, or you're the victim, and your story, you got it. Come on, even JLP peeps, come on. Or maybe I'm just projecting. Don't let me get in your head. The thing is, that story is crazy. We have this story and we act crazy. My story is, I don't know, maybe I have probably a few. My story is, sometimes my story is no one listens. My word doesn't matter as much as others. That's crazy. And if it doesn't, that's my own doing in a sense. You guys know me, the anchor baby, a little bit. Where's his show? And if people are judging me, that's their thing. That's not my thing. I'm focusing on the wrong thing. Drama. What's your story? What's your story? I got callers. Let me get to some callers here. 888-775-3773. Alex, Tennessee. I think you're on the air. Thank you for that. Yes,
What's
you're
up,
on
Nick?
there.
How are you?
I got you unmuted correctly here. I was confused. Thank you for your call, Alex. All is well.
Cool. It's funny you guys were bringing up this David Williams story because I just sent that video to a friend of mine who I was talking to him, and he's also he would call himself a Christian, and we get in these conversations every now and then. We work together. We get in these conversations, and I knew that he had gotten into a bad car accident a long time ago, and we were talking about something, and I was telling him that how, I realized that I'm not my thoughts, I'm not my emotions, that all that stuff is not really true. And we started kind of going down this road, and then out of the blue, he was like, man, he's like, you know what, it's something I don't tell a lot of people this. He's like, there's very few people know about this, but when I got into that car accident, I left my body. He's like, and I remember I knew I was still like me in a sense, but I remember looking at myself. He says, because at that time I was having a real hard time in my life, and things weren't going well. It was a rough time in my life. And I got into this accident, and I remember looking at myself, and I just felt so peaceful and so just like everything was okay. But at the same time, when I was looking at that person who was there at post-car accident, I remember looking at him and feeling bad for him a little bit, because I was like, man, that guy's suffering so much. And I knew that wasn't me. I just felt this sort of, it was like feeling not like feeling bad in a sense, but just feeling like, man, it's so unfortunate that guy has to suffer that much. Like I wasn't sad, but I just knew that like that guy was not doing well. And then of course he survived that, and he didn't really get into any more detail, but I was like, man, that's so crazy, because that's the same thing I heard this guy telling his story. It sounded very similar, where he could see that wasn't really him. That was something, something that was living inside of him that was causing him to suffer.
Wow. Have you ever spoken to him about it since?
No, I mean, this is just it's all pretty recent, actually.
Oh, okay.
So I literally just sent that to him yesterday, which was kind of interesting you brought it up today, because I was like, wow, that's interesting. But,
oh wow, that sounds like an amazing story. Do you?
Yeah.
When you heard your friend, or maybe David Williamson, you believe them?
Well, I mean, I have no reason to not believe what he's saying is true, is honest. Mm-hmm. It seems honest to me. But ultimately this goes back to what you're saying about taking responsibility, that you're the only one who's responsible for like having this full accountability kind of thing. You can't, you have to take the journey yourself and understand for yourself. But it's interesting to
And what do you mean by that?
Well, what I mean by taking the journey for yourself is that you have to understand for yourself, in the sense that you have to know that you know something. You can because really all these stories, whether it's a story you're telling somebody, or a story I'm telling you, or whoever, or story I'm hearing from David Williamson or my friend, they're all made to sharpen whatever it is that whatever it is this experience is. And the better the story, or the more interesting the story, the more wholesome the fruit. So you can kind of like it. There's something that comes out of certain stories. I've always been interested in stories in general, and I was always told that the
What do you mean by
stories,
sharpen? I'm sorry to cut you off. You said the Christian story?
Well, it means that like we're constantly retelling the same story to ourselves over and over and over again. And some stories don't bear good fruit. If you believe into a particular story or whatever, you see, oh, the end of this story is no fun. It's
But why do we keep telling ourselves the same story?
Well, we keep telling ourselves the same story because it's the story
because these stories are sharpening us.
Story. Yeah, it's really the biblical story is what I was always told is the greatest story ever told. And it's interesting that these ancient stories are distilled down to this certain kind of spirit that actually has effectiveness. And the further you veer away from these core stories, the more destructive things tend to become. But those stories don't die. The civilizations die, languages die, technologies die, all kinds of things come and go, but the stories that really matter, they survive.
And so we keep telling ourselves these same stories to what again? To sharpen ourselves, you said.
Yeah. And so
Can you describe what you mean by that?
Stories.
Sharpening? What is this sharpening that you're talking about?
Well, the sharpening is that it's basically, as far as it's just basically corrective measures is what I would say. It's less of a sharpening, more of a course correction. Because if you pursue stories that bear poisonous fruit or have some kind of unpleasant ending, the story it's sort of self-destructive in a way.
And it's a course correction from what?
From basically being eliminated.
Oh, so the course that you were on before being corrected is destruction, death.
Yeah.
Oh.
Which is the opposite.
So it's actually
the opposite of life.
Yeah. So it's actually pretty serious.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
And I mean I bring that up because in my mind, and all thoughts are lies, and this is why that's crazy. In my mind, it almost seemed like the stories and the sharpening. It's like, okay, well, that sounds like this. The image, the picture drawn sounds like someone just gathering these stories and getting closer to a good life, and I don't know, something sounds almost nice, but the way I saw it is more like someone totally lost, and these stories is just a refrain that you keep hearing, but you're an insane person who's just not listening. but every now and then it catches your ear. You're hearing the story. You're like, dang, there's a truth in there. You know what I mean? But you're insane.
Well, yeah.
You're not hearing the story.
Well, yeah, and really the story is about seeking the truth. It's about aiming towards the target, because I don't think any of us really know what's at the destination of the truth or the destination of the target. At least in our current form, I don't know what happens after a person dies in terms of, as a continuation of whatever this all is, because there's something that animates your body, and it's not a lithium battery. It's
right,
there's something that
okay, sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
My bad. I cut you off. There's something that animates us.
There's something that animates us, and it appears to be.
That?
It appears to be unique from person to person. It appears to have some kind of also some sort of connectivity, so that we're trying to understand what it is.
And what makes you say that it's a different from person to person connectivity? What is different? What do you mean by that?
Well, there's something that differentiates one creature from another creature. In terms of we're both kind of, you're in your body, I'm in my body, And I can't necessarily know what's going on exactly inside of you. You can't necessarily know exactly what's going on in me. It's hard to really know that for sure.
I guess so, right? But I mean, there's some I guess I bring this up because stories is a little bit interesting to me right now, and there's stories we keep telling ourselves, and maybe it's the retelling of these stories that is part of the problem. We're not learning, you know. We're telling it, like, for example, one of my stories right now is anger. Okay, thoughts are evil, and so because I still have thoughts, I'm not really working on myself. I don't really know the truth, you know, and so, but that's just another story I'm telling myself. So do you see what I'm saying by stories? So we keep telling ourselves stories. I'm saying to people to have a little bit of care with that. Be careful with that.
Yeah.
And so when you're saying, for example, when you're saying stuff about this stuff in people, I think there's an answer to that. And so let's get past the stories, and I think there's an answer to what's in us, and it is like you're saying, animating us or whatever.
There's something that animates you. I mean, there's something that animates the worms and the grass and all that stuff. And there's an interesting.
Let's find that answer. Let's not get stuck in the stories. Anyways, go on. My bad.
Well, yeah, there's an interesting consistency to the stories. The Messianic story is retold over and over and over again, from the Game of Thrones to Star Wars to whatever. I know, I'm not necessarily want to mention all these things.
No, but those are big. Those are big. Those are huge.
If you look at all these stories, they're Messianic stories, and we just retell them. Of course, there's different colorations.
And we're squandering it. I guess what I'm trying to say.
A lot of these are terribly done.
No.
But,
yeah,
but
well, I guess
are.
Some of them are amazing. Some of them are absolutely fantastic. And even the David Williamson story, which I'm sorry to cut you off, but even the David Williamson story, which is not a production, it was from the heart. It impacts us, and we squander it. I guess is the point I'm trying to make. Maybe I'm trying to nitpick too hard, but we get this amazing truth revelation, and we squander it.
Yeah,
it's such an amazing story. What an amazing story! What the heck is that?
Yeah. Well, and that's an interesting thing, because Jesus spoke to people in parables because he knew that they wouldn't understand it if he spoke to them directly. So he would tell them a story in a way that they'd understand. And and words are limited. There's a lot of limitation to what you can do with words, especially when you start to get somewhere near something resembling the truth, because words fail in the presence of reality. God exists before words. So it's in order to know something that's that deep, there's no, like, a physicist can try to explain the origin of whatever, a black hole in an equation, but it becomes to the point where the equation is so preposterous, who can understand it? And really, if you break it down, where they're talking about parallel universes and all things that are possible, have been possible, and were possible, and are forever possible, it's like, well, you may as well believe in God then.
I mean, interesting stuff, Alex. I appreciate your call, man. Fascinating, absolutely fascinating. I appreciate you talking with me about this.
Yeah, it's fun.
Absolutely,
I enjoy it.
Oh, you know what? I totally do relate, though, about messianic stories in media. I mean, Goku from Dragon Ball Z is a born-again Christian. I don't care what anybody tells me.
I'm not familiar with Dragon Ball Z.
The Japanese,
that's the next generation after me.
Yeah, the Japanese, well, not the Japanese, one particular Japanese man may have been in tune with similar spiritual things we're talking about here. Hey, Alex.
Well, everybody is. I mean, if you look at all cultures across space and time, there's a lot of similarities. It's really not. They're not that different. There's an understanding of direction, of things that nurture your lower animal type tendencies, and then there's things that nurture your higher nature, which tends to aim up.
Fascinating, man. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Call me again, Alex.
All right. See you, Nick. Thanks.
888-775-3773. David Williamson was talking about similar things about how this you just gotta go watch it. You'd be just talking about stuff intellectually, but really, calm down. Calm down. If you just calm down, if you're not just that is number one. Calm down. You're imprinting on yourself. You are. He was saying all your experiences, they don't go away. Even the body dies and the ego dies, but it's all experiences that get put into the possibilities of what can be possible, is what he was talking about. Anyways, whatever. Look, calm down. Start there. That's where you start. I got Jaime out of Minnesota. You're on the air, sir.
Hey, how's it going?
You a little busy?
Hey.
Oh, we got you. What's up, Jaime?
Hey, I was thinking about this guy, the David Williamson, right?
Yeah.
And he died from a heart attack, and then he says he went to hell.
That he went to hell? No, he didn't say he went to hell. He went into the void.
The void. Yeah. It sounds like he went unconscious, and then when he came back to consciousness, like he had a dream. And I notice when I wake up, I have like a snippet of a dream, And I used to think that it meant something, but then I realized that it's just I was unconscious for a while, and my brain was waking up, and just whatever was on my mind was on my mind, and it made a little dream.
But he says he got information.
Yeah.
Because we got a little naysayer. He said, "Oh yeah, oh yeah." Well, he says he got information, and I'm just playing around. He says he got information that he wasn't privy to because he passed out. So he passed out before they brought him in to the operating room, and when he had already lost consciousness at that point, he was able to see things happening to him, things that people in that room felt. Right. The fact that he could even see people in that room, okay. And then, do you see what I'm saying here? And so he was able to then relay that same information that happened in the real world. Post him passing out, he was able to relay that when he came back.
Yeah, coming in and out of consciousness.
No, that's just my opinion.
And then one of the things that I noticed about the clips that you were playing, is they have that soaking music in the back. You know that?
Totally.
Did you hear it? And so it's, to me, this is just from my opinion and everything, it sounds like propaganda.
What sounds like propaganda?
Well, his story is soaking music, the all that kind of stuff. Is propaganda.
But what he was saying, the words he was saying, was propaganda.
The whole premise.
So thoughts are not lies.
Go into a void, and then you get all this knowledge or information. It's just, and the reason why.
So thoughts are not lies. Anger isn't evil.
The reason why I say this is my wife. She's told me that when she was younger, she had the same kind of experience where she went to heaven and she saw all of her family. And I let her know what my opinion on that was, and we differed. But that's I don't.
What was her experience, if I may? If it's none of our business, that so be it. My apologies for asking. I said, what was her? I don't know if I should even be asking this. What was her? You said she went through a near-death experience.
Yeah.
That you explained away.
Well, no, not that.
What do you think about Santa Claus? Wait, real quick. What do you think about Santa?
He exists.
You think Santa doesn't exist either?
He exists. Yeah, I know he exists.
Hey, let's go. Sorry, you were talking about your wife, though.
Yeah, so she had a near-death experience, and she had said that she had died and gone to heaven and saw family members there. And this is when she was really young. So, and I listened to her, and I let her know what I thought about the whole thing and the consciousness and unconsciousness, and especially if you get anesthesia or people are trying to keep you alive, He said the guy died from a heart attack.
Well, he died from anger, he said. He said anger killed him.
Yeah.
He said anger, he said his thoughts killed him. He said when he died, he came out and looked at his body, and he could see that his thoughts and anger was what killed his body. And all the things that, and when he came out, he said he had shed all these identities that had kept him in that world, justifying and thinking that that was him and that was real. So he could see that his thoughts killed him and that his ego was now dead. And so he wondered what was left. What was left now that the body's dead, the mind is dead, what's left? Who am I? And he described almost like as if talking to himself, and at the same time the response came, he was things like he was light, spirit. And and so that's what he said. I'll leave it at that.
Well,
and so
where is he now?
Propaganda, you say, where is he now? He's alive. He does his thing. He
doesn't sound like he'd be too hard to wrangle down for an interview.
Oh, I'm on it, dude. I'm on it. Thank you for that, by the way. Great suggestion. And I'm already working on that.
Oh, all right, okay. Yeah, because you are making some good points, and I would like to hear it from the horse's mouth.
You're so right about the soaking, man. The soaking music and all that. It's total propaganda. Your instincts aren't wrong there. If you ask me, that's like the producers, right? That's like the producers and the production doing that. David Williamson spoke about his story, and I believe it. If you ask me, in my opinion, that man died. That man died and came back. But you might be right. You might be absolutely correct.
One of the things that I noticed, Joel was talking about imposing your faith on people or your religion. But it seems like the faith that this man had in the way of life, his anger. There's an apostle, his name's James, and he wrote that faith without works is dead. And it looked to me like this man's faith in anger was causing him harm.
Oh, the man that died near death?
Yeah, he said that his anger caused him to die.
Totally. He was like an activist guy. He grew up way into the race thing.
He had strong faith in I think maybe it was the black thing. Was it
big time? He was a huge activist, and he took on the racial problem. 400 years of slavery, and he took it on, and like his responsibility to deal with it.
It seems that once he died and then came back to consciousness, that he saw the error in that, and decided to find a different way.
100%. He totally dropped that.
That's what happens to a lot of us. Is we have so much faith in this, and then it lets us down so hard they call it rock bottom.
Wow.
And then we decide we need to find another way. And then sometimes we fall into another wrong thing. Yeah. Or we find the right thing. But yeah, that's just my
very interesting, man. Thank you for that.
All right, you have a good day.
Big time. Call me again, man.
Bye.
888-775-3773. Lin Yan Chin with the super chat. Thank you, sir. CSAL, your name is an acronym that means Cosmic Space Antifa Lesbian. A little slander, right? They sent you, the C-Sal Empire sent you to reduce mankind's testosterone levels. Tell the truth, C-Sal. He's got your number, C-Sal. Tell the truth. What's going on? There's some mess going on in my chat. And I don't think it's bad mess, so no, calm down. But something about shirts. People talking about shirts. What's going on here? I don't know if I'm going to give that attention. What's this about shirts? It's not a sparkly blouse. Is Karen here or something? What's going on? When shirts comes up, is Karen in the chat? Sorry, Karen. I don't want me to be slandering you. Maybe you're in your best behavior. All right. Alex with the triple coffee says, thanks, Nick. Thank you for that. buymeacoffee.com/anchorbaby. Much appreciated. How you doing, Ohio Sentinel? Old Saucy DJT 2020. Ohio Sentinel shouts out to Joel, telling him, I wish he would learn how to rumbo. Appreciate that. Ohio Sentinel. Enunciate. I got another caller, 888-775-3773. About to get to you. Appreciate the patience. Let's see what else we got here. Let's get to Kevin, New York. Appreciate your call. You're on the air.
Hey, Nick, what's up? It's good to talk to you again.
Right on. Yes, absolutely. Thank you for that.
Yeah, absolutely. It wasn't the last caller, but it was the caller before him who had said something that kind of provoked me to call. And I wanted everybody to understand this kind of like how I understand it. Not to be forced or anything, but those who get it will get it. But having to do with why Jesus had spoke to people in parable.
Okay.
Yeah.
I remember the call.
So, yeah, we can get more of an understanding of that from the book of Matthew. I know you guys had already talked about that earlier, I think. But the disciples themselves had asked Jesus, why do you speak to people in parables? And let's see, in Matthew 13:11, it says that he answered and said unto them, because it is given unto you to know the mysteries of the kingdom of heaven, but to them it is not given. For whoever hath, to him shall be given, and he shall have more abundance. But whoever hath not, for him shall be taken away even that he hath. Now, I was reading the King James Version of that, and to put it into more context, I think Jesus was directly referring to the scriptures and all of that. And in that 12th verse, what the person thinks that he has is a correct understanding of scriptures and what that scriptures mean. Okay. And so Jesus goes on to say that, he talks to people in the style of parables because it says in 13, therefore speak I to them in parables because they see. To paraphrase it, it says that those who will see, but those who will not understand, even in hearing the parable. To get to my point, the point I'm trying to make is that...
little spiritual cryptography.
Sort of, but it's not very, very complicated. You see, my point is that Jesus speaks to people in parables is because it keeps the carnally minded people from understanding them. Do you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, I think so. Like how you intellectualize everything. Is that what you mean?
Not necessarily.
The carnal mind hears the truth and then intellectualizes it, takes away all of its power, but
you could say that,
but like makes up this glory in this little world. Is that what you mean by the carnal mind?
You could say that in a way, but a carnally minded person doesn't necessarily have to get intellectual to be carnally minded, but more vain. To give you an example of what I'm talking about is that there was a time where Jesus went to go sit down with his disciples to eat, and the Pharisees and the Sadducees criticized Jesus, saying, how come you don't wash your hands in your cups and all this other stuff before you sit down and eat? And Jesus said a parable, something having to do along the lines of, why don't you wash the inside of the cup?
Mm-hmm.
Because if you wash the inside of the cup, then the outside of the cup will automatically become clean for you. And so the carnally minded person would then look at Jesus and say, man, this guy's crazy. He's talking about just washing the inside of the cup,
Right.
Instead of the message that it has really nothing to do with the cup in the first place.
Is that how the parable goes? You wash the inside of the cup and you don't wash the outside?
Not that you don't wash it, but by washing the inside of the cup, the outside automatically becomes clean.
Oh, see, I didn't know that. I didn't know that detail. Or I just guess didn't think about it. I mean, the way I just remembered it was that you don't just clean the outside, you clean the inside and the outside. But that's an interesting detail. That no, it's in fact just cleaning the inside is the only necessary thing.
Yeah, I think the intellectual and the vain person would be like, you know, hey, it's just cups. But the spiritual understanding is that it has nothing to do with cups. It's actually talking about the body. The body is a representation of cup.
Oh yeah, so yeah, what do you think about that? What does he exactly mean? What is the cup here? What's going on?
Well, I think it has something to do with how we should. It's hard to put into words. How we should develop ourselves according to how we go about acting with the world. You see what I'm saying?
Explain what you mean. So,
you know what I mean?
Repeat it and explain what you mean.
Well, I think it is partly our responsibility to check our anger and our hate. You know what I mean? Otherwise, I don't think Jesus would have said something like, wash the inside of the cup. You know, it's partly our responsibility to make sure that our hearts are clean.
Right, clean.
Yes.
Check it. I mean, totally clean, totally clean. I think that's what that means. If I'm gonna gather any meaning there, right? Because I'm trying to gather meaning from this parable here, and yeah, clean sounds total.
Yeah, absolutely. But like I said, my point is that it has really nothing to do with cups, even though that was being taught about by Jesus to the Pharisees, that the inside of the cup will be washed, meaning the inside of the body. And if the inside of the body is clean, then the outside will be.
All right on. Well, thank you for that, Kevin. That makes sense.
Yeah, thank you. Thank
No
you for
problem,
listening.
Man. Call me again.
All right, have a good one.
888-775-3773. Nice. Appreciate the callers today. Very nice. Nice. Parables. Washing cups. You know, about washing cups. One thing I forgot to say about Rob Smith yesterday. You could podcast my show. You know, he's all betrayed. He's all feeling betrayed. MAGA betrayed me. You know, they just showed me what they really think about me. What they really thought about me. MAGA. There's no place for me anymore, he says. But there's a place for Rob Smith, right? There's a place for Rob Smith. There's a place for... The focus is... Or should be... it's that all these people, right? Oh, trans, you're gay, or a liberal, or, you know what I mean? These blacks, these, whatever you think, whatever you're thinking, you know, that they're not those things, obviously. Maybe not obvious to everybody. But that when you order a movement or a society, or follow me here a little bit as I work this out. As you order these things, you realize if you realize they're not those things that they do, then anyone who admits that has a place anywhere, even if they're doing those things and they're flawed or in some way. It's about admitting that, owning that part, owning that that's evil. I'm just not going to say it's good. I don't know. I can't even tell you how to fix it. I can't even tell you exactly why I do it, but I'm going to make it my mission and my purpose to figure that out. Kind of like what Alex was saying. I'm going to figure out the answer to that. I'm not going to just get stuck in my story. I'm oppressed. I'm gay or whatever. And I'm going to I'm gonna figure out what makes me tick. What motivates me here. And anybody who at least admits that has a place in a conservative movement. Even Rob Smith. It's about not admitting that. Look at how incentivizing the opposite has just wrought hell. It's already hell. There's already hell. Satan already exists. He doesn't need our help. In the homes, in the minds, all that. And then on the highway of society of American life, all the signs keep pointing towards. There's not even any warnings. Yeah, your racism is real. Racism is real. You're angry and you're justified. Yeah, you are oppressed. So that's wrought its own negativity. Satan doesn't need any help, but here's society helping him. So where was I? What was I saying? You follow me here a little bit. 888-775-3773. I was going to mention the border here. I don't have all that much more time with all of you, so let's finish these calls. I got a super chat from Carver. Thank you, sir. This is all a plug to sell Nickstream mugs. It's all getting there, Carver. We're getting there. I'm doing the slow con, the slow game for Nickstream mugs. Appreciate that, though. Thanks for the support. Okay, we got Gabriel, Canada, on the air. Thank you.
Hi, Nick. How are you?
All is well. What's up, Gabriel?
All is well, thanks. Nick, I just, before you change the topic, wanted to share my little story about a world that we don't see, the unseen world, we call it. If I may, basically started with a sleep paralysis. I witnessed one that my sister had. She was terrified when she woke up out of it. She's like, "You didn't hear me?" I was sitting right next to her. I'm like, "No, I didn't. You were just sleeping." She's like, I wasn't. I was calling your name." She was terrified. Then it happened to me. It scared me a little bit, but then I learned. So basically 3 times happened to me. On the second time, I already wasn't afraid of it, and now I kind of start controlling it. So that's where it intensified. One evening, I called. I made a prayer to God, and I said, "I know we don't need to. We're not allowed to see unseen world. I know we're not allowed to get in contact with spirits. But just show us." In my prayer, I said, "Just show me a little bit what is permissible, what I can withstand." And yeah, I had an out-of-body experience. I left my body. I remember. That was out-of-body experience was later. Sorry, that's not so important. So I'm laying. Wait, I got confused. Out-of-body experience is the one thing. Yeah, I left my body. I was so excited, and I wanted. Me and my friend, we talked about it, and I said, "Okay, I'm gonna go to my friend. He lived in Aurora area. I don't know if you're familiar with Toronto."
Yes, of course.
Yes. So yeah, I basically came out like my body was in my bed.
You weren't about to go fly over Jane and Finch.
Yeah, but I'm in Etobicoke, right? I'm on Bloor streets, Bloor and like.
We're not having an out-of-body experience over in Regent Park. We're not about to do that.
No, but the thing is
I'm sorry.
I'm like, okay, he basically said, when you're out of body, come to my place, and you'll come into my room. You'll see something that nobody knows about it, and you can share with me and prove that it exists.
Wow.
So I flew up. I look at the map, not map, but lines of the road. It was at night, and I start going north, right, from Etobicoke. And as I go north, I see a dark area, like a black completely, because you know how street lights stop before you get to Aurora area. There's a little how do you describe it? Area where the street lights don't shine anymore, and then it goes again once you reach the Aurora area. So I couldn't see the path, and doubt came to me. Oh, how are you going to come back to your body? I got scared, so I flew back. And I'm like standing in front of my body, and I'm like, how do I get back in? Oh my God, they're gonna find me early in the morning, dead. If I don't know how to go back. But then I've noticed Yeah, right above my belly button, there was like a tennis ball size, absolute phantom black sphere. And it was like, and I'm looking at it, and it's like a spinning. And I'm like, what is this? I come closer, and it started dragging me into my body. So I relaxed, I sat down, and I got into my body, opened my eyes. I said, God is great, and went back to sleep again.
That's incredible. Yeah. So a little tip, if you're ever having an out-of-body experience, look for the jet black sphere near your navel.
Yeah, with the belly button.
Your experience may vary. Wow.
Yeah, but the thing is that it didn't. But in my prayer, I said, once I see it, I'm not gonna pursue it anymore, and all my desire for out of body experience situation gone away right away. Like I was satisfied. But one evening, this is last example. One evening, I hear a keyboard clicking, tick 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 tick. I open my eyes, and I look by my feet. There's 4 individuals. They're very short, but not grays. They're very short. They had brownish, like a moistured leather, and where the face is, it was absolute glass, like a phantom black glass. You can't see a reflection. It was just black. And then I turned right behind my shoulder, and there's another one, 5th one, standing by my laptop and clicking the buttons, on the keyboard.
Yeah.
The moment those 4 realize that I'm awake, they start making the noises like the noises like a high frequency pitch something. I understood they're talking to each other. So this guy was standing next to me. He turned right towards me, and I'm looking at them. And in my mind, I already was not afraid of these things. I said, "You guys know the rules. You're not supposed to be. You're not supposed to be in a form where I can see you. I'm gonna turn around. You guys gotta go." And that's exactly what happened. They gone, and I'm like, God is great, and I went back to sleep.
Wow,
it was amazing.
What a story!
But you know what's the most? Yeah, you know what the funny thing is? I couldn't find this description of these beings anywhere. Like how people talk alien grays, blah blah blah.
Sometimes, yeah.
But one day, like a year after, I'm on Instagram. I forgot the account number, but I see the picture, and I'm like, oh, my God. But guess what? It's not in English in description. It's in Spanish. So I go quickly Google Translate. I translate, and it basically says that these first images were carved like 3,000 before Jesus Christ time, in caves somewhere. Yeah, so apparently people back then already knew about those spiritual entities, And I'm telling you, they are in our world. Our brain is just set up for a default state where we don't see them. We see what we need to see, to experience this existence. And God told us don't play around with these things because...
Yeah, remind me never to ask God for let me see what David Williamson saw, or let me see what... Yeah, remember...
Yeah, don't play around with that.
Let your will be done. Remind me not to do what you did.
Yeah, because you need to have nerves to keep it cool, When I saw these guys, when they started communicating...
Has your life changed from seeing that?
No fear for anything.
You mind if I say your name? Because I know how to really say it.
Say it.
𝒏𝒊𝒄𝒌𝒔𝒕𝒓𝒆𝒂𝒎,
yeah, goosebumps
Thank you,
right
sir.
now.
I appreciate your call, man.
No problem. You have a great one.
Absolute pleasure. Thank you, sir.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, a fascinating story. Thank you, Jabril. Thank you. Fascinating. I bet you, I'm sure other people are probably maybe thinking of some near-death experience they heard or they want to send me or something. And I'm not trying to be an arse here, really. I'm not saying I don't believe Jabril. Like, I'm really not saying that. I have no reason to not believe him. But I'm not saying I believe. The only one I believe is David Williamson, okay? I'm telling you, this is my opinion. I saw that guy died. Jabril, yeah. On everybody else who wants to probably talk about, because others are talking about theirs too. I'm not trying to poo-poo real hard. Okay? I'm not saying I don't believe you. I'm just saying the one I'm. Anyways, I got another caller, Justin Fullerton. Appreciate your call. You're on the air.
Oh, thanks for taking my call, Nick. How are you doing?
All is well, sir. Appreciate it.
Well, I was calling because I thought it was interesting about the about the parable questions and like why Jesus spoke to us. Why do you think that he spoke to us like that?
I think what Kevin was saying was essentially right. Makes sense to me. It was this I may not know exactly why, but I bet you it's something maybe a little closer to what Jesse was saying. Remember when he was talking about the man who Jesus healed his blindness, and he's like, now don't tell anybody? Maybe it's something like that. Because you'll intellectualize it. You'll take it and run, and you don't know what you're talking about. But if you really see it, you're going to see it. It's like spiritual cryptography. If you got the key, it's going to connect with the message. You're just going to see it. But you know, that's my kind of basic understanding.
Yeah.
Well, is there something deeper than that?
Yeah. Well, I think it's unless I'm not hearing correctly, I think it's like where there's individuals that Jesus knew in advance were tortured or troubled by their sin, their thoughts that comes from the evil one. And so he had to let people know, like what he said was, to those who have ears, let them hear, and those who can see, let them see. Because it's very important that he speaks his message and doesn't just get killed right away. Because there was a lot of religious leaders during that time, and he kind of wanted to convict people and speak to their heart. So if they were to be told directly that, like the other parable, while washing a cup, they were to be told that your outward appearance is not going to save you, and God finds it detestable. You know, like he called them whitewashed tombs, you may recall.
Oh.
And I take it as...
No, I forgot about this.
You know, they're all dead man's bones, he said, inside.
Totally.
And that means what's inside is unclean. And unless it gets cleaned, which can only be from God, well, then how can you say that you are clean just because the outside looks clean? Don't just worry about the outside. Who wants to wash the outside of a cup and then drink it? It's still dirty. So it's kind of right what the guy was saying, what he took that called earlier, like 3 calls before. He was saying there is parables, and what he took out of it was if you clean the outside, the inside clean too. But I think it's a reverse. It's whatever's inside, you know, out of the overflow of the mouth, it speaks. So that's what he was addressing, was the heart. And those who could listen and hear and see what he was talking about would get the message, and he would have more time to keep spreading his message.
Interesting, man. Yeah, I think that makes sense. Stuff I don't think I've ever heard. But yeah, so it served a purpose then, but also beyond. It served the purpose of giving him more time because he wouldn't alert certain people because he wasn't saying certain things. I'm following you. Fascinating. Yeah, cleaning the cup. I wonder sometimes if, like, before Jesus, even this sort of thinking that we kind of maybe even take for granted, like for us to even have this conversation right now of, well, it's about the inside and not the outside. And I wonder if there was even a time where even talking like that, it's like, what the heck do you mean inside? You know what I mean? Like, I wonder if man, if that wasn't even a conversational possibility due to the fallen nature. You know what I'm trying to say here? I wonder if that was a time like that.
And I think that's why God sent his only son, so that he could teach humanity what he wants for all of his daughters and sons on this earth. So that's why he spoke in the parables, because it's very basic. It's very, even a child could understand. But if you are full of sin and you're corrupted, you're not going to understand his message. And that's why it's very important to know what Jesus said.
Fascinating, man. I wonder. That makes sense, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
I bet you even the message sometimes hits the. I bet you the message even hits the corrupted and sinful.
Yeah.
But yet it's something even in them that speaks. I don't know, man.
Yeah, he called them dens of vipers. The Pharisees, the Sadducees, the Essenes, all the religious leaders, and that's who a lot of people today are following. They're following man. They're not following the Son of Man, the Son of God. You know.
Thank you, sir. 100%.
All right,
Appreciate your
have a good
call.
one.
Call me again.
Okay. Bye.
Oh, big clicks. Big clicks. We got big clicks. Hey, I love the calls. Thank you so much. Appreciate the calls today. And Jabril with the super chat. Very supportive as always. Thank you. Hitting me with a little super chat. Hit my line with a super chat. Thank you. Buymeacoffee.com/anchor, baby. Last few minutes of the show, we got, wow, Thursday already, huh? That's Women's Forum tomorrow. We got Bible Thumper Thursday already. Last day of Joel Hake Report. Last day of American Anchor, baby. You know, till we do The Flight, Extreme Fridays. Week's gone, just like that. Don't miss the Women's Forum, ladies. But yeah, wow. Pretty much going to close out last few minutes of the show here. Leaving early, like I said. Getting Hollywood ready. Going to the dentista. Getting some work. So I don't know if I can really get into all this. I have all this crap with the border. You know, the saga. The saga continues. They're saying an appeals court is now flip-flopping. It's now flip-flopping again. By flip-flop, I mean the ability to defend the border. Is Texas allowed or not? You know, it goes back to the Supreme Court. They ruled with Biden in January, remember? In favor of the Biden administration wanting to cut that razor wire. You cut that razor wire down. Governor, you let him in. That's our job. You cut that wire and let those illegals in and open up that border. You know why? Because that's our job. It's our job to protect the border, not your job. That's essentially the whole thing. That's essentially the argument. It's essentially the conversation. That's not your job. That's our job. So you open up that border and let them in. But it's unsafe. It's unsafe. That's actually not protecting the border at all. Yeah, well, you don't get to say that. Because you're Texas and we're the federal government. That's essentially the conversation. I think it's kind of clear, right? The insanity, this is part of that saga. Back in December, Greg Abbott. They signed a bill that's going to come into effect in March. We're in March. It's happening. These things are happening. It was going to give law enforcement the power to arrest, deport all these people suspected of being here illegally. So it's coming into effect. They were saying it's sending ripples of fear throughout the Latino community in Texas. Ooh, living in fear. SB4, living under the. See how the media puts this out? It's so crazy. Look at that. You're gonna pass a bill in Texas where it has a 40% Latino community. You want them living in fear? Do I need to say that? Do I need to say the obvious? Wait, so are they all illegals? 40%? Are we going to have some tough conversations? And even then, don't tell me you're really scared. Like, they're really going to deport people. You know how tough that is to even talk about with Republicans and all that? Local Texas Republicans are going to look into the eyes of little Lupita and tell her, you got to go home? Yeah, right. And you're going to tell me you're scared? Little Lupita is the trump card. It's over for these Republicans. There's no getting past that. They're emotional. They feel bad. And you know what happens when you feel bad? You actually make the worst parts of society into heroes. Podcast my show yesterday. I actually arrived to an interesting conclusion for once on my show. But anyways, folks, what can I say? I said I didn't have the time to get into it. I kind of did. There's all this stuff I wanted to really flesh out here, the whole government shutdown and all that. So we'll get into it tomorrow. Because look, the saga continues. It goes back and it goes back. We'll rehash some of the things that have already happened and really drive home how nobody cares. Republicans are the worst. They got this new guy, and it's more of the same. So they're going to fund the government. Okay, folks, that's it for me. No more American Anchor Baby. We got American Anchor Baby tomorrow, noon. Don't miss it. Bible Thumper Thursday. You love it on the Jesse Lee Peterson Show, 6 a.m. Pacific time. The Hake Report and Joel. See you tomorrow at noon right here. I'm out for now to fix my teeth. All right, y'all. Peace. Take care. Appreciate it.